Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Comic Chat with Gat. As always, I am Gat, that is Comic Chat with. We've never done that in the show before, but we just did our intro video for the new subscribers, and I kind of like that. Just introducing as Gat and Comic Chat with.
Yeah.
I'm also Chris, and that's Taylor.
Hi.
That's probably more important.
Weirdly enough, we didn't say our names for the last 3 episodes.
Really?
Point that out. Yeah.
I think people would just recognize us at this point. We've got 20 subscribers. Thanks all of you.
22.
22 subscribers, even better. If we are panting or drinking a lot of water more than usual, it's because we just had a what is it? What would be considered from the?
I like the race of all races. I don't know.
Yeah, I think was that what they called it?
I don't know what they called it.
Okay, well, I'll make up a name for it. We had a race war outside, and it was really great.
Don't call it a race war.
It was the Flash.
War?
It was the Flash versus Reverse Flash, and we did a nice 25-meter sprint. And you should definitely take a look at that video because what else are we gonna do on a Saturday morning? But doesn't matter. We are a show about comic books and popular culture, and this week we're gonna go over some really cool things I don't really know about. So Taylor, what's on the docket this week?
Well, first we're gonna start with Last Week in Comics.
Our favorite new segment.
There's been I read quite a bit of things. There's we got 3 single issues to go over,
Okay.
and 2 trades.
All right, how many actual comic books came out last week?
I mean, that's a dumb question every time. It's like 50 or something.
Okay, so what's our percentage of actual read?
I don't
What's
want to
our
talk
penetration
about it.
percentage?
I can't keep up with everything because
Heavy penetration?
No.
Okay. We're safe for the little ones.
All right, first I'm going to start with a favorite. Jughead #2 came out this week.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
I gotta read that. I enjoyed
I
the
meant to give
trailer.
that to you today because I want to talk to you about the Google Play app. That because I tried that out.
I pitched that to you.
You
because
did.
I'm a big Google evangelist,
Uh-huh.
and they updated their Google Play Newsstand. It's however they read book reading, kind of like a Kindle, I guess. And so the app itself, they made it more readable for comic books, allegedly.
Yeah,
No?
it's definitely not Comixology. Okay, so I'm
Okay.
a big Comixology fan.
Yes.
It's been noted. I like the panel by panel cool.
That's cool. It's called Action Panel.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of that because when you're reading on a device, even on a device as giant as the Nexus 6P, it's still not big enough when you're looking at it in portrait to really read a comic. Because a comic, it's big. There's
Sure.
you need a 10-inch tablet, I think, to read a comic book
Yeah.
in its full normal size without something like that. So what the app does is it does shrink. There's a regular. I think I almost liked it better when it was shrunk down. Weirdly enough, because it had this flipping animation, which is always fun.
Oh, cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
But when you zoomed in sideways, it would auto scroll, but it only scrolled half down the page. It would only do a page and then another half a page. It would never do panel by panel. So words would get cut off, especially because Jughead #2, it was they have different weird kind of art style. It's not everything's not cut and dry inside a panel. So sometimes the word bubbles are popping out of the. So maybe it was a bad comic to try it with. But I was picking my real issue is in the mail on its way, and so I wanted to read it, and I was like, I don't want to double buy it necessarily because I didn't have Jughead #1 on Comixology, so there's no reason for me to just have the issue 2
Sure.
in the middle. So I was like, I'll try the app because we had that Google coupon whatever credit, and I would say I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the Google Play. Comic reader.
Okay, so but a comic reader we will recommend to anyone out there who's looking to get into the digital area of comics because I personally, you guys can't see it, but Taylor's got a bookshelf filled with graphic novels, trades, comics, all of it. I don't want that in my house. So using something like Comixology is great. They have the action panel. Honestly, I have a laptop, so you can use the Kindle reader. It's not very easy because you can't zoom in on a Kindle reader or on the Kindle app, but otherwise, yeah. So Comixology. But Jughead #2.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was. I think it definitely took a step further. I liked the first one, we said, but I wasn't totally it wasn't Archie, right?
No, it was kind of boring too.
Well, this one is about time travel.
Oh yeah,
and it does it so accurately. They explained everything we explained in time travel in a couple panels. It was so weirdly relevant to what we just talked about. Yeah, that's you, buddy.
Oh, I know it's me, but I want people to watch that, our time travel video, so in case you don't read Jughead #2, we explain time travel.
And it was awesome. Super well done and super, the time travel was so smart in it. I think it was maybe one of the smartest implementations I've ever seen of time travel, and I really, really enjoyed it.
So is the Jughead series going to be connected story?
I don't think so. What seems to be the way that, this one did the same thing, though. You know how in the last one they did a Game of Thrones off thing?
Yeah.
The time travel thing was that same. So it's when he falls asleep or daydreams or something.
Got it, okay.
He has a fun pop culture-y
Sure.
moment. It's so far in issue 1 and 2, and I hope it continues on because I really love that. But and Jughead, that usually teaches him a lesson that he needs to defeat whatever problem he's having in the school. Kind of like he did the burgers. He sold the burgers because of what the I don't know, it was like the Burger Dragon, I think, in the Game of Thrones. And then this
It was
time,
the cafeteria
it was time
worker.
travel, and he had to figure out like how he was going to defeat something else, so he doesn't have to get detention because he was so good at not getting detention. He finally got detention. Anyway, it's really good. But those teachers are so evil in that Jughead. Remember, it was the principal that he was fighting last time. Well, this time the gym teacher, and they, I mean, spoiler. Can I talk about what happens at the end of this?
Course.
They plant a knife on Jughead.
Okay.
Like
Didn't
classic
expect-
cops, like you know
Did
when they're
not
like,
expect that.
oh, we found this cocaine on your, like they're right
Yeah.
there in front of him, like, geez, your book bag has this cocaine in it. It was the same thing with a switchblade. They're like, you're gonna have to be suspended. I'm like,
Wow.
whoa, geez, it's Jughead. Leave him alone. He just wants to eat food and hang out.
That's a lot to swallow.
Ah, Chris.
Comic chat with Get.
Anyway, I loved it. I think that just for the time travel reading and for the, I mean, I'm really excited to see where they're going with this because Jughead's like suspended, and I'm just.
So would you
excited.
say it's better than Archie?
Well, no, nothing's better.
Okay, good. Just double check it.
No,
We
it's not.
love the Archie series.
But I definitely, I just actually went to the comic book store last night, and I started my first pull list. So
Which, again, explain, because I don't know what that is.
yeah, and for the record, I read a lot of comics, but I usually wait for them in trades, because buying single issues for me, I hadn't ever liked anything enough to bother keeping up, because I knew it would just make my comic book box fuller. I would usually buy first issues, I would buy like special variant covers, but I would never really buy like issue. But I started reading Archie and I liked it. A pull list is basically a subscription at a comic book store. So they're pulling the comics that you want off the shelf for you and put them in a little box for you. So I went there last night, and you need at least 3. So I got Archie, Jughead, Dark Knight Master Race, Dark Knight 3, which is coming out, and then Batman and TMNT, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles plus Batman is coming out.
Oh,
and I was
geez.
like, I don't know what that is, but I gotta
Okay.
put that on my list.
Do you get any kind of discount because you're getting them
No,
bulk,
but they're
or-
there,
Okay.
like, for
That's-
you.
that's
You know,
cool.
and I've been ordering them from Tales from Another World, which is great if you want to order your comic books and you don't mind shipping them. But it's beneficial when I buy, like, 5 because I'm paying $3 in shipping. But when you buy 1, all of a sudden you're spending $10 on a comic, and I can't ever read it right away. I have to buy the digital issue to read it right away because it takes about a week to get there.
Could just wait.
But then how are we going to talk about it here, Chris?
That's true. You're right. It's crazy.
Anyway, so
Okay.
I mean, I did used to wait, but then I started having
Yeah.
to be current with stuff.
That's
And
very
so,
true, yes.
Anyway, I started my pull list, and it's great. So yes, Jughead number 2,
Okay.
highly recommended.
Good.
You should read after this if we have time.
Yeah.
All right, the next thing I've got Star Wars Vader down. Chris,
I cannot wait until Star Wars comes out just so we can stop. It's like Back to the Future month.
Chris,
It's like October.
stop it. This is really good. This is the best Vader thing I've read so far.
Well, I remember when we did our previous issue, we
Star
talked about
Wars.
all the Star Wars issues.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's interesting about this is the number 1, and this is a one-shot because to read the other ones, it's a crossover event. So I'm just going to read this off to you guys. I mean, it shows it here. There's like a little list of stuff for Darth Vader number 1. You need to read Darth Vader number 1, and then Darth Vader number 13, Star Wars 13, Darth Vader 14, Star Wars 14, and then Darth Vader 15 to get all 6 parts of the story. But I think that I was kind of negative. I liked it. Darth Vader was probably one of my favorites of the Star Wars when we talked about them. But this one showed Darth Vader being so badass.
Yeah?
Like, so badass that you're like, I loving him and Luke, and I'm totally down on this. That is really
So
good.
are you going to fully invest in all the
I might-
issues to stay current, or just go piece by piece to do the part 1 through 6?
Well, I might just do the 1 through 6 for Vader down, and then I'll probably buy the trade just because I like to be able to read it. Because as soon as I put my comics in my comic box, like the odds of me getting them out of that are just
That's true.
to
Are
read
you
them again.
alphabetical in your comic box?
No, they're by my own system.
no.
They're chronological.
Okay, that's smart, I guess. I think one day we should do a video where we just show everything.
Yeah, maybe.
It's terrible.
Okay, so
Watch.
Vader down. Recommend it. Give it a read. Some awesome Vader stuff. If you're a Star Wars fan, I think that this is the most recommended book of all the books.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, Lando's going to be upset, but that's fine.
Lando was good though. I really like Lando.
Yeah, because it's like a buddy cop movie,
Yeah,
right?
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I really like Lando. Okay. I don't know where to put this stuff as I finish it.
Put it right there. It's good. Keep it with me.
The second, an indie book. So
Oh?
Huck.
Well, last week we tried an indie book, but it was more current with Saga.
right.
So how'd you get
This
into
is
this?
Huck. Well, Mark Miller, the guy that wrote the
Frank Miller's brother.
No, Millar. It's AR instead of ER.
Frank Miller's French brother.
Mark Millar. He wrote Kick-Ass.
Okay.
He wrote
That's cool.
Kingsman.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wrote what's the one with they bending the bullets? But it
Wanted.
Wanted. But the comic was actually really interesting for that. The comic was actually
Movie was
about
good.
Batman and the Legion of Superheroes. So they changed it for the movie because they couldn't get the rights. But really, Angelina Jolie is Catwoman.
Huh.
The main guy is Hawkeye, or not Hawkeye, Bullseye's son. That's why he can shoot so well.
Okay.
Morgan Freeman's character is Lex Luthor, and basically what happened is
Are they named these people, or you can kind of infer?
I think you infer...
Like Selena Kyle, Lex Luthor...
I think that you infer... She also has little cat ears, like, in the comics, and well, basically the villains teamed up together and erased the memories of everyone and the heroes to make them think they were just actors. So Burt Ward and like Adam West were really Batman and Robin, but they made them think they were just these TV show characters, and like they basically won, and that's what it's all about. And which is so much more interesting, I think, than the movie that came out.
Yeah,
but also really in depth for the average public. So I could see why Mark Millar's books frequently get not heavily adapted isn't a good word, but sometimes like I think that Kingsman was a better movie than it was a comic.
I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But this is really good. So I like Mark Millar. He writes really good stuff. Okay. He's done good stuff for DC and Marvel as well. This is it's a really interesting take on Superman. So basically, this like nuns find this baby that says "Please love him" or something, and they raise him to do a good deed every day. And he does good deeds because he's super strong, and he kind of works as like a gas station attendant in a small town. Mm-hmm. And one day he does a good deed every day, like that's his thing, and it'll be like, you know, buy everyone behind me food in line at the drive-thru, or just like little things. But sometimes like find something, someone lost something, so he finds in this beginning he's swimming, and it's a really good feel-good story. But at the end he
I was all excited. And now at the end,
well, no, I mean he saves like a bunch of like he sees on TV that there's these women that are being attacked by like whatever, like in Africa or like in Afghanistan or something, like where there's like, you know, they're being captured by terrorists. You know, like, you always see that, like, especially in Africa with, like, they're making them work slaves and stuff like that, or they're making them wives or something awful and terrible. And so he sees it on TV, and then he basically just, like, beats the crap out of all the terrorist bad guys and says, Bush, do me a favor to the girls. He's like, just don't tell anybody, you know? And they're like, sure. And so, like, they're on the news, and they're like, oh, we can't say how we ever say, but something saved us, and that's great. But then this new girl that's in town was let in on the secret, and she tells the news stations like it was him, and then that's the end of the thing. Is he's like, like,
can he fly?
I don't know yet. I haven't seen that. I don't know if he can fly.
How did he get to Africa?
I showed him taking a plane, so I guess he can't fly. Unless he doesn't know he can fly yet.
All right.
But he's kind of like this. People think he's like simple and kind of dumb, or like, you know, like because he's just this gas station attendant that's really quiet. But apparently he's not. He's just a really good guy. So I'm excited to see where this goes. It's a very feel good comic.
Interesting.
I really liked it. I definitely recommend picking up Huck.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Where are we at now? Okay, we got Huck and Vader down. Jughead number 2. Star Wars again, Chris, just for you. Shattered Empire, the trade came out. This is the official Journey to the Star Wars Force Awakens.
Is Shattered Empire the book? The audio podcast?
No, it's totally different. This is just its own comic.
What was that called?
That was called Aftermath.
Got it.
But it was part of the Journey to the Star Wars Force Awakens. So they have this series of things. So there's like a bunch of different like junior novels, regular novels, and this is the official comic that takes place after Jedi. So all the stuff that's Journey 2 takes place after Jedi. Everything else, all the other comics are usually in between 4 and 5, or 5 and 6. So it was good. It was four issues. It has this new character that I'm assuming maybe that she'll be the parents or something, like this wife and husband character.
Oh yeah.
That might be the parents of someone in The Force Awakens.
It's probably
Kylo Ren's parents, maybe, I don't know. But the interesting thing I think at the end of this was I don't know if they also gave you the free issue 1 of Leia, which I really liked at the end. So that was pretty cool if you buy the trade. Interesting things. The Vader, the Emperor might still be alive, even though they think they killed him. But that was also a weird thing at the end of Aftermath too. Yeah. Was like they hinted at that. And Luke finds the tree from the Jedi Temple that
Yoda lives in.
No, that's.
I'm trying to. I'm trying
the
to
Jedi
be
1, 2, and 3, the ones you liked. Okay,
yeah,
Chris.
yeah.
The Jedi Temple.
Great movies.
The Jedi Temple with all the little baby Jedis, and like where they were all hanging out in Coruscant. There's this big tree. I don't know if you remember that. That's fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter. And so the Emperor, I guess, hidden on some planet somewhere or on some secret base, he had a piece of the tree, and so Luke wanted it so he could regrow. It's a tree that's infused with the Force. It's like this like
Force tree,
holy tree, but it's like saplings. And so he grabs it, and then there were 2 saplings, so he gives the other one to this girl. and then she plants it where she's growing up. So this has got to be something.
Something's got to connect somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, it could turn out like Halo 5, and they do this whole podcast and nothing works.
Well, I think that it was really well written. All the characters were very like movie accurate.
Anyone noticeable who wrote it or did the art?
Rucka. No, I don't know these people. It's possible they do a lot of things, but But yeah, it was.
Let us know in the comments. Who are they?
Rucka, Chichetto, and
Unzueta. So yeah, did they do anything noticeable? This is the Marvel Universe. We don't have a whole lot of experience in the Marvel Universe, so let us know if you guys liked it, if you guys have read it, and who these guys or girls are.
The art's really good. I still think that the characters might have been captured better in Vader Down.
Okay.
Like, cause everything about the art is it's so good.
All right.
Anyway, so that's that. One more from the last week. This is all last week in comics, Chris.
This is a lot of stuff.
Archie versus Predator,
which doesn't make sense. Does Archie do a lot of crossovers?
I guess they have in the past. I read the introduction.
Yeah.
And they've done like Archie versus it was another good Archie versus that was a classic. Let me see if I could, like they have like Life with Archie, Afterlife and with Archie. Those are all recent ones. But Archie Meets the Punisher was one of the first most popular ones.
Okay.
And that was in '94. And so this is kind of following off that. And I mean, everyone on the Dark Horse side, which is owns the rights to the comics for Predator, and Fox and Archie, they all got together to make this, and it's pretty great.
It's nonsense.
It's pretty great. I think that the love and care for both franchises that went into this is really amazing.
Yeah.
And the comic itself, it's really well made.
Like Archie has a gun. He has a machine gun.
Well, I only read the first issue now. I haven't finished it.
Oh, you haven't finished the whole book?
No, I had lots of things to read this week, but I also I'm savoring it kind of because it's so fun. The mix of violence and classic Archie shenanigans of just like worrying about Betty and Veronica and like beauty pageants and stuff, like of who's prettier, is so weird in like a good way.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying it so far. The art's great. The variant covers in the back though are just awesome. Like there's so many good ones, and I'll put up some here. But I think my favorite is this, just Jughead's head. And the Predator, there's a burger being he was just eating. I don't know. It's really good, and it's fantastic and fun, and I recommend it.
All right, so we've got 5 picks. We have Jughead number 2, Archie versus Predator. We had Star Wars Shattered Empire. We had Huck, which would seem really good, and then the final one, which of these would you recommend the most? If someone's going to pick up one comic book that's come out recently within the last week in comics, which one would you recommend of the ones you've read?
If you like Star Wars, pick up Vader Down. Otherwise,
that wasn't
Huck.
the question.
Huck.
There we go. Huck is the choice of the week for last week in comics. This week's last week. That's a new thing we're going to do.
And Jughead number 2.
This week's last week. Hashtag this week's last week.
Just last week in comics.
Or, but like your comic you choose is this week, last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Making waves. So this one's interesting.
I'm not here yet. Wrapping up the backlog. It's the next segment.
What's your backlog?
Some of the stuff
we have another segment to reveal? I like this.
Some of the stuff I talked about last week that I didn't finish reading.
Oh, okay.
So, and the 2 of those would be Superman, American Alien, and All New Wolverine.
Okay.
The Max Landis piece, American Alien, was really good. It was really it's an origin story. Okay. It's a reimagining or whatever you want to call it of Superman, and it was so modern and so fun. Like they captured the essence of what a super child would feel like. And not like it always seems like it's a negative tone. It's like, I'm having these problems with my X-ray vision and I'm freaking out, or I'm, doing terrible stuff. And this happens, like he's stuck floating in the air. He's like, I don't know how to fly down. Like, I don't know how to fly. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But then when he finally learns to fly, he's like there's this great panel. He's like, Mom, Dad, I can take us anywhere. We can go on vacation. I can just pick up the car and we can go on vacation. Like he's like freaking out. It's like showing different angles. Like you can imagine this little kid who's just so excited that he could you always wanted to go to Paris, Mom. Like we can go right now. Just get in the car and I can lift and fly us. And he's like super excited about it, and it's really well written and cute. And I'm really excited to read issue 2. That was issue 1 of.
Okay, so that was just issue 1.
And then the all new Wolverine, which is X-23. We were. Corrected, it definitely is the clone of Wolverine. Richard wrote that in there. And
thank you, Richard.
As soon as you open the first page, it's kind of like, I'm the clone of Wolverine.
Oh, jeez. All right, well.
I just obviously hadn't got that far. I mean, I remember I was confused last week, but anyway.
We had a lot of comics last week, people.
And it's really good. It's super interesting. Wolverine's dead, right, what we talked about.
Yes.
And
dead really brutally. Killed by Sabretooth.
Yeah. Well, no, he wasn't killed by Sabretooth's bad because he didn't get to kill Wolverine. He was killed by somebody else. I don't remember. I don't, comics.
I don't read comics.
I really recommend that one. It was really fun. As far as it's a Wolverine story.
Are these both new stories that are just starting now, so people can jump in?
Yes, they're both issue ones. It's Wolverine. All the Wolverine came out the same day as all new, all different Avengers. Okay, so it's like that same. I feel like they're tiering it, like I said, but they're all coming out slowly in new issue ones. And there's so many more issue ones of Marvel stuff I have to pick up to see if I want to continue on. But it's all real good.
So with this new stuff coming out for Marvel, and we've still got continuations in the DC universe, what do you guys like to read now? Make sure you leave a comment so we can all talk about it. What is your pull list? Because that's something I've learned today. What is your pull list that you would create? For me, I would put movies and CDs in my pull list.
Great, Chris.
Good.
You put Batman.
Yeah, I would definitely put Batman. I wish I lived closer to a comic book shop. Then I could just go pick up all the Batmans, and then because I'm 6 behind now.
Yeah.
For Volume 8.
Yeah, you should just get them on Comixology.
I don't have anything I can read it on there. I don't want to read it on my phone.
Why? It looks good.
Does it? I'll have to see after the show. We'll take a look.
Okay. All right. So
now this. Yeah. Okay. So is this what we're going to talk about?
Yes, it is.
So Taylor was like tweeting about this, and then we got a lot of great response, including
Frank Miller
tweeting to us. From the DC handle about a question that we had represented from the Dark Knight. I'm confused. There's a third Dark Knight coming out? Okay, so what?
It comes out Wednesday, Chris. Well, today. If you're watching this, it's already out.
Okay, so give me an elevator pitch on what the Dark Knight 1 and 2 were about.
Well, I just read 2. Okay, so the weird thing about Dark Knight 2, which you don't know because you don't know about,
any of this.
It's highly controversial.
Oh?
Because the art is...
really bad.
Really, I don't want to say really bad. Frank Miller drew this all himself.
No.
And he did the first one himself too, but it's kind of like he just decided he was going to be cartoony and artistic with it and didn't make it realistic, and I think that hurt. I think this comic is really well written. It does get a little political.
Dark Knight 2.
Dark Knight 2. It's called The Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that first, and we'll go. Everyone, all right, for the record, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller is one of the best comic books you'll ever read.
Really? I can't get over the art style.
And if you can't get over this art style, you'll never get into this one.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I just
part of
can't
the problem,
get into it.
I think. But you want the movie. Honestly, if you can't get into the art style of the comic, which you should, because there's so much more, a little bit more. There's obviously more stuff in the book, just like there isn't anything. But the 2-part Dark Knight Returns movie, animated movie.
I watched that.
Yeah, you watched the second. You watched part. You didn't watch the whole thing.
I watched part of part 2 and all of part 1.
So you saw the operating table stuff, and you should know exactly what I'm talking about.
Nah, it was a long time ago.
Okay. Anyway, so you should watch all of it, Chris, because it's very
probably
good.
Eventually.
I mean, it's so long that it's a 2-part animated movie, which says something that they really took care and they really wanted it to be accurate, and it's really good, and it's one of the best comics, and this is one of the first comics that made comics something that adults felt like, oh, this is Batman, like and when the first Batman movie came out, it felt dark like this, even though it was nothing that similar. I would say that the Nolan movies got a little closer to this, but yeah, it's this dark, gritty Batman that's just he's old and he's coming back, and definitely one of the best comics. If you're a comic book fan and don't have this on your shelf, you need to have it on your shelf. Like it's one of those books that it's like, oh, you're a comic book fan, okay, you got The Dark Knight, oh, you got Watchmen, there's a couple in there that you're just like...
The quintessential.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just that.
Sorry about the art style.
The art style's... Chris, there's some good stuff in here. I don't understand why you hate the art style. It's good.
I don't hate it.
It's not like Jim Lee.
It's not... Well, the problem is I tried to read this in the middle of reading... the
Scott Snyder
volumes, and those are just... beautiful.
Which I'm really excited. Talking about Dark Knight 3 for a second, they have a Capullo variant cover.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like seeing his Batman old and gritty, which is super fun. Anyway, so
okay.
So let's move on. So this Dark Knight Strikes Again, because the first one was this seminal piece of comic books, this legendary almost piece, it's something that everyone read and everyone gave to other people to read because they're like, this is what comics are about.
Yeah.
The second one, of course, had a lot of hype to it.
Of course, it was like the second Star Wars.
Right.
Second Uncharted. Second Bible. Old Testament, New Testament. New Testament had to follow. It had to get better than the Old Testament.
They had to really
step the game up.
Up the action. I think they took down the action. It was less action. Anyway, so Dark Knight Strikes Again. The most fun part about this comic is that they're adding a ton more of the classic heroes in there. So the first one, pretty much all you dealt with was Green Arrow, and Batman and Superman.
Okay.
This one, they add in The Flash, Elastic Man.
Which Flash? Sorry, Barry Allen.
Barry Allen.
Okay.
The Flash, the Atom, So
From the TV
Ray
show?
Palmer, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
They add in Elastic Man. They add in Dibney. He's the elongated man. So there's two different guys. Elastic Man and elongated man are two different people.
Seems really repetitive.
And then and Wonder Woman, and so there's lots to love as far as the characters they involve. And you're like, oh, that's what happened, because it's kind of like what happened to all the other heroes in this awful dystopian, terrible future that they were in, like where Superman is a stooge of the government.
Can I ask?
He ripped off Green Arrow's arm.
What time period is this in?
It's the future.
I'm just
dystopian future.
Like flying cars future, or like
No.
2012.
2012, I guess, in the 80s,
Okay,
2012, kind of like some.
They ripped off Green Arrow's arm.
That was in the first. It was in the first one because that's how he had. That's why he wanted to shoot Superman with the kryptonite arrow.
Okay.
Anyway, and like Superman, I guess, has a baby with Wonder Woman, and that's the new Supergirl. I mean, if you were talking about the art before, Chris.
Yeah. You know. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Jeez.
Yeah. So the art is it feels like
rough.
it feels like a Picasso painting, but not that Picasso. I love art. I have an art history major, so I'm not saying Picasso is bad because
I think
he's
that's
not.
what you just
no,
said.
It's not. I'm just saying that I just don't want it for Batman. Like,
Right,
I don't
okay.
want a I don't want something that's like a cubism or some kind of interesting. It's just. I'll put up some screens of some of the stuff in here, but that's Lex Luthor, by the way.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So the art may be not what we like, but how's the writing? How's the
writing
story?
is cool. It has a lot of those political like things where like if you read, you kind of miss it in the movie, but in the comic, there's a lot of like pages of just like it's basically chatter between like those like Fox News shows.
Okay, the pundits. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically there's a lot of that, and there's more of that in here as well. But I think that just seeing these other characters and seeing what Frank Miller decided these characters were doing in this crazy dystopian, like terrible future of like the whole world being ruled by Lex Luthor and
Sure.
like and pulling all the strings, and Superman kind of like dealing with the fact that like he's such a because he's a good person, he's stuck like being a slave to these people because he doesn't want anyone to get hurt, Okay. But at the end of The Dark Knight Strikes Again, Superman decides that he's going to rule the world with his daughter, and enough of this, like humans should bow to him, kind of like Zod has always believed, because look at the world how it showed up. He's
Yeah.
like, so it leads into a very interesting Dark Knight 3.
When was Dark Knight 2 published?
That's a good question. Let's find out.
Because it's been a while, right? I
A long time. The fact that this was announced, everyone lost their mind.
Yeah. Why was this announced? Was there?
He just wanted to write again.
Okay.
Brian Azzarello, who's this co-writer, came to him, I guess, with an idea, and he's like, "I would like that. This is my story." He said that in the tweets yesterday.
Okay.
They asked, he's like, "It's basically Azzarello's baby, but I'm helping him with it, and we're co-writing it."
Interesting.
But they're having other people do the art.
Oh, that should be cool.
Right.
That would be more.
And so if
accessible.
that's what you're upset about, and I think that me going into this, reading this, knowing that the art was going to be bad, knowing that people like didn't like it helped me read it, I think, because I was like, I just need to read this to know what was happening. And it's kind of like when you see a movie that everyone tells you is bad and you're like, it wasn't that bad, but if you go into a thing that's great and it's bad, you're like, that movie was terrible.
Yeah, like Taylor loves Adam Sandler movies.
I do really like Adam Sandler movies.
Weird.
Anyway, so The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and the reason why this is also relevant is because today, the 25th of November, The Dark Knight 3 Master Race is released. Issue 1.
Happy Dark Knight, happy Master Race Day.
I wish I had, like, confetti I could pull down.
We can make some After Effects, it's fine. Well, good. So, obviously it came out today. We haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. We're still working on our press badges. And we will have a review for you on the next show. Be sure to subscribe so you can see that on the next show. But obviously, people should read it. You should take the time. You should go put it on your damn pull list. So I'm just going to use that word too many times.
Yeah.
And that seems like the show this week, right?
Yeah, except today is also a day of crazy other comic books. I just want to tell you how many
geez.
comic books I have coming out today. So
That's kind of cool. This is a cool thing we can do where we can show, because this is in the past. It's Saturday. Hi. Or is it? And then we can say the comic books that are coming out today.
well, just the stuff that I'm picking up, particularly Dark Knight 3 and Archie number 4 comes out today.
Exciting. Love Archie. Really stoked for that.
And they have this Looney Tunes variant thing going on in DC Comics, so they have like Looney Tunes. So
That's kinda
it happened to be that everything else was coming out today. So it's like one of the biggest lists of stuff. So
right.
Aquaman 46, Deathstroke 12, Flash 46, Wonder Woman 46, Superman 46, Sinestro 46, Black Canary number 6, all come out today with their Looney Tune variant covers, and I'm super excited because some of them are really great.
All right. I haven't seen any of them. I'm excited to get to see them on the show.
We'll show them off next week.
Cool.
And Squadron Supreme and is coming out soon. I'm still excited about that in December. And that's
Wait, why do I know Squadron Supreme? That's the Star Wars one, right?
No, Squadron Supreme. Remember we talked about it last week? It's
I remember it, but
Supreme Power. And
is that the Marvel
DC
graphic thing?
Yeah.
Yep, that's how I remember because of the baby and the flag.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, that was this week's episode of Comic Chat with Gat. We thank all of you for taking the time to watch, and also to our podcast listeners to listen. I've actually been reached out to a couple times for people who listen to the podcast because they go on long car rides. So, hello, everyone. But other than that, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. You can do it on any podcast network that you use. Rate them. That would be cool. Leave us a review just to help us boost up a little bit higher in the ranks. We're pretty high up there. But, we could always be higher. Comic Chat WGAT on Twitter, Comic Chat WGAT on Instagram, and Comic Chat with Gat on Tumblr. And we are a family within the CBX Cast Network. We have the Cardboard Box that Taylor is on with Joe when they do comic books. Nope. They do video games, and that is published every Tuesday.
Yes.
And then we've also got Real Retro, where they talk about old movies that I will probably never watch, but have more affinity to watching now because of their show. I've watched more movies because of them.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, really. I mean, they're doing their job. Yeah. So that's exciting. Again, thank you guys for watching. We are a growing show. We're always changing. We have a new camera. We got microphones. We got fancy stuff. Leave us some comments. Leave us some love. Leave us some hate. Tell us what we can improve on. And we'd love to talk to you guys again. Bye.
Bye.
Go read The Dark Knight, I guess. Or watch the movie.
Watch the movie, but then you read the new Dark Knight.
Well, how much do you think The Dark Knight... Wait, is part 2 on...
No, no one's ever going to make that movie.
Oh, you're screwed. All right, just read the books, kids. You know what they should do for graphic novels? They should make books out of them.
They do.
Do they?
Some of them.
Oh. Are those?
I have some. Not these, but I have some.
Well, bye. Thanks for tweeting at us, Frank Miller.